Welcome to the SBP Podcast, episode 34. I'm your host, Susie Botello, and you're listening to the voice of mobile film. Our statistics are showing that you're listening to us in over 50 countries around the world, and that's good news. Using the smartphone camera to share stories by making videos seems to be the default because more and more people are naturally using the camera that they have in their pocket, in their hand at the moment to shoot video. There may be more people using their phones to share videos than with any other camera right now. Even if you have another camera, you may not always have it with you. So a lot of us take photos with our friends and family. But now more people are shooting video as well. Now, as your host, I want to thank all of you who have taken the time to listen to our podcasts, to subscribe, and to rate it too. If you have not already, you know it's free, but what you may not know is that subscribing and rating it would help us reach more people like you. Our guest today won third place at the International Mobile Film Festival in San Diego. I'm pretty excited to share her with you. She came out to San Diego from Australia. Her name is Narelle Nash, and her film is titled The Actor. Now, this is a really fun conversation about her as an actor, and now she's a mobile filmmaker too. She discusses and shares some economical ways to get your films done. Her film award is another example of how a great film idea shot with a phone can get you awards and even a bit of fame. Her award in our film festival got her some publicity back home too. Now, before we talk with Narelle, I want to point out that we started a community movement for the mobile film industry. During each film festival over the last few years, I've had people point out to me how cool it was to connect with others online and in person. Some of you who are listening know who you are. There are some pioneers who connected in person for the first time at our film festival in 2016, and also there were some last year, which was super exciting for me. I personally have met many people online, in person, over the phone, and even on social media who are part of this industry. Not just filmmakers, but others who have an entity that's focused on mobile film, like gear, apps, blogs, all that. So finally, after working on a plan on how best to, organize a community, basically, I've been doing that for a couple years, planning it. And finally, I launched it on June 21st. So here's how this works. Using the hashtag #MobilizeStories, it's unique to the community and the mobile film movement, will tell everyone that you have or that you are open to connect, to support, learn, share, and inspire, and be inspired too. Join the movement using the hashtag, and you can either continue to do what you do while you're using the hashtag, or you can get involved. Now, we also launched a monthly contest where each month it will have a unique theme. The contest is part of the International Mobile Film Festival that takes place each year and will connect you and give you opportunities to be a part of it. Of course, this monthly contest is pretty much pushing the mobile film movement, so you'll have to shoot it with your smartphone. Now, okay, we have a website. And we have some social media to share with you. So what we want you to do is we want you to connect with us and share this hashtag, #MobilizeStories. That's all one word. When we find you online, we will either like it, we'll retweet it, we'll share it, and we'll just provide general support for you. And that one of the ways to do that is to, hook up with us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can do that. They all have the same username, the same handle, whatever you want to call it or refer to it, at @MobilizeStories. The website is www.mobilizestories.com, and there's a lot of information in there about some events that we're going to be taking part in case you wanted to attend. If you happen to be near the event location, come and say hi to me. Or if you wanted to enter that contest, all the rules are on the website there. And yeah, just hook up with us, connect. Let's have some fun, and let's show support and inspire each other. Okay, so are you ready to meet Narelle? Let's go. Hey, everybody. We're here with Narelle Nash, who actually won third place on the film festival, the International Mobile Film Festival in San Diego last April. How you doing?
Hi, Susie. Hi, everyone. Nice to be talking to you.
Yeah, where are you today? Are you still in Australia? Because I know you do a little traveling. You're in Australia.
Yes, I'm in Sydney. Yeah, I've been working. Well, I had to go to a meeting this morning, and I've been working. Yes, I'm in my bedroom in Sydney today. So it's in the middle of winter, you guys. So it's a little bit cold, but yeah, it's sunny though, so we can't complain.
Wow, that's awesome. You know, I forget about that sometimes. Australia and New Zealand we're not really opposites as far as people are concerned, but when it comes to weather, like you guys have your winter. So wait a minute. So in December, you celebrate Christmas, right?
Christmas, very hot, yes.
Yeah, so Santa Claus.
There's no winter wonderland in Australia at Christmas. Yeah, it's like beach weather, barbecue weather. Yeah, very hot.
Well, you could still get some white sand, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's awesome. So it was a little bit cool here this weekend as well. So I guess we're kind of matching you, although I'm sure not to that extreme.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so she's in Australia, we're in San Diego, and we're gotta love technology. Wanted to talk to Narelle about her experience at the film festival, especially because she won third place. Yay!
Very exciting moment.
We'll insert an applause, right?
Yes, exactly.
The other thing is your film, she won with a comedy, which is a tough thing to achieve, is a comedy because of the timing and everything. But of course, she shot this with the iPhone 7, correct?
That's correct.
And the film was called The Actor. But before we talk about that, Narelle, would you share with everyone how you even came to shoot a film with your phone in the first place, and a little bit about your background so people can realize that even though you're winning awards around the world with your film and shooting with your iPhone, you're still a human being, and they may be able to connect with you, and maybe you can inspire someone in your
very
shoes.
much a human being. Yes, sure, absolutely. Yeah, so I'm an actor by trade, and at the time that I sort of started getting the idea for this film, I was a very frustrated actor. I was tired of sort of sitting at home waiting for the phone to ring. I was feeling unfulfilled creatively, and I'd sort of had little seeds planted about, the idea that I could make a film, or we could, everyone sort of says, actors should create their own content when they're not big and all of that. But I didn't have the first clue about how to go about that. And the biggest thing that held me back was the idea that I did not have any access to expensive, fancy equipment. And even if I did have access to it, I did not know how to use it. So I was just scrolling through Facebook one day, and something popped up feed. I don't even know how or why. It must have been divine intervention. And it was an article from one of the Duplass brothers, who have, a bunch of television shows on Netflix and documentaries and such. And the tagline to the article was, "There's no excuse not to be making films with your friends on the weekends." And so that sort of hit me right between the eyes, and I opened up and read the article. Basically, that was sort of my first real introduction to the idea of smartphone filmmaking, that I could make a film on a smartphone that that other sort of established filmmakers are making them on a smartphone. And not only that, but sort of the add-on to that was that I could make a film and that it could go somewhere, that a festival would actually accept my, made film. This is a revelation to me. I didn't know that it would be something that would be taken seriously. So once that sort of planted the seed, then I started thinking about the kind of stories I wanted to tell. And then I thought, well, write what you know. So I know about being an actor. So then it just became about writing from experience, talking to my actor friends about the experiences they've had. And then I found that there was a lot of comedy gold in that, in the experiences that we go through. And so, yeah, that's how it came about. I just cast my friends. We shot it at one of their homes in one day, the same location, and all on an iPhone. And yeah, the rest is history. Everything that happened after that is another story, but that's how I got started.
I remember when you were talking during the Q&A, and you were people were asking you, and you were answering questions about the actors and whether you had a script, because it was just you got a great reaction from the film. People were just laughing their heads off, and they practically stood up to applaud it.
It was very heartwarming.
Yeah. And so I wanted you to talk about that, because some people, sometimes people go, yeah, I've got this great idea for a movie. I've got the phone in my pocket, but I don't know if I can write an entire screenplay. I don't know if I can get people to memorize lines, just things like that. Maybe you can help with.
Sure. Okay. Well, I mean, I did write a script. There was definitely, characters and with dialogue. However, it wasn't all filled in. I certainly think with comedy especially, it allows for improvisation. I also knew exactly who I was going to work with. They were friends who were also actors, so I had that, to my advantage. So I actually kind of wrote the roles for them. I played to their strengths. I also knew that they were talented and they were to improvise on the day. So yeah, and what ended up coming in the film was things that came out on the day. So my film was very much a collaborative process. Not all directors like to work that way, but I would advise it. At the end of the day, especially if you're a first-time filmmaker, the input of others is invaluable. And if you're thinking, she's an actor, so she probably has lots of friends that, she could have potentially called upon for this, but I don't know any actors. I guarantee you all you have to do is join a couple of, acting groups on Facebook or online and say, hey guys, I want to do this film, tell them about, where it aims to go, because, obviously, at this level, not a lot of us have budgets to pay for actors. Say, I'm going to submit festivals, I'll give you an IMDb credit, and you will get a response. You get a lot of people who are interested in your film. So yeah, so don't let, I don't know how to write a whole script hold you back. Have an idea, have a concept, and then, build on that. I also would advise, if you're not used to writing, I certainly wasn't, write what you know. So if people, from a place of truth, people are more likely to connect from it. So that, if you already know about a particular issue or experience or whatever, then you're already going to have stuff. Just start putting, your fingers to the laptop, because I know things will come up. You'll be able to write if you've got a place of truth and experience that you're writing from. So yeah, and I promise you there will only be, too many people out there knocking on your door wanting to be in your film if you just sort of put the call out.
Pizza also helps.
Yes, pizza helps. Oh yes, always offer to feed your actors, because if they're like stuck in a location where there's not a shop nearby, or they're at someone's home or whatever, definitely have food on standby to give them. It's just
yeah. If you're gonna be a producer, one of the first rules that you need to know is you got to feed your crew and your actors.
Absolutely.
Speaking of crew and actors, were any of the actors or any of the crew sort of filling in for each other type thing, or?
Yeah, so I mean, I put them all to work. If an actor wasn't in that particular scene, they were holding up a lamp or something, or they was, slating the scene. I used a clapper for all of my scenes, because it certainly helped a lot when it came to editing. Or they were writing down, they had a list of, all of the scenes we were doing, and I said, put an asterisk next to that or put a tick to that if that scene was particularly good. So I knew that to keep that for that when I was in the the editing room. So yeah, I mean, they were all certainly, everyone was doing everything. It was very much a collaborative effort.
And then, of course, basically, why don't you give our listeners a little bit of a synopsis of the film?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so it's like three vignettes, a day in the life of an actor. So what we sort of go through on a day-to-day basis, like if you're sort of at the level of being a working actor, not a big star or celebrity who doesn't have to audition for films, but like we know how we have to go about getting in an agent. That's sort of daunting in and of itself. Attending an interview, so and then and going, of course, is a big part of what we do, and then this, you finding out you can keep going back to the same audition house over and over again, and then you read about some guy who was discovered on a beach, never acted before, and he's the one who gets the TV gig and stuff like that. So it just sort of was like a love letter to actors about sort of how hard it is to keep getting up and doing the same thing again, and as I said, there's a lot of comedy in that because it is where people are allowed to say things that they wouldn't be allowed to say in other industries, like tell you that you're too old for this role, or too, not thin enough, or not pretty enough, or whatever, or, it's, you've got to obviously try and see the funny side of that if you can be able to keep going with it. So yeah, it was basically just a day from a few different perspectives.
So now that our listeners have an idea of at least what the film was about and that it was comedy, what would of course, when you had the idea for this movie, it was a little personal for you, right?
Yes, definitely.
So, aside from that, I mean, that's where you can sometimes get your stories from your own experiences. Mm-hmm. And they don't have to be completely your own experience. You can elaborate.
No, not at all. Just the basis of.
Yeah, just get creative and use your imagination. But then you obviously spent $1 million on film gear, right, for filmmaking?
If by film gear you mean I brought some lamps from the house I was house sitting at, and we wrapped baking paper around it with, band and held that up.
Yeah, explain stuff like that to us a little bit. That's so cool.
It was very, very, just about as Indian budget as you can get. What did I spend money on? So the phone wasn't even mine. I didn't have an iPhone 7 at the time. I borrowed my friend's phone. I bought a plug-in mic to go in it. That's sort of the most money I spent because obviously I wanted, decent quality. So we had one plug-in lapel mic that we just sort of shared amongst the actors, or sometimes if it was two people talking across a table, we just sat the mic in the middle of the table. Yes, lights was improvised. We used the lights within the house. We experimented with, blinds open, blinds closed to get the best kind of light. And as I said, we had lamps that we got the other people to hold up.
And then you had a studio, right, to film it?
No, we had someone's home. And it happened to be the kind of home where you could actually make a couple of different, make it look like it was a couple of different locations, even if it wasn't. No, so we shot it against the wall of someone's home. And then for the other scene, we shot it in the kitchen. And then for the audition scene, we shot it against a different wall. And that was, and so, you don't need a studio. You don't need to hire out, or buy expensive, lights or, speakers or anything like that. There's things that you can do that are very cheap or cost nothing, and we certainly did that and still managed to produce a decent film. So don't let money hold you back at all. That's one of them, and there's many. One of the great aspects of being a smartphone filmmaker is that it's democratized the process. You don't need to have big budgets or even medium-sized budgets in order to make a film. Just improvise and work with what you have.
Yeah, and it's really easy to plan it because for our listeners, all you have to do is this: you go to somebody's house or your house or the room or whatever, and you put somebody in a chair or wherever the setting is going to be, and then you pull up your phone and you look through. You open the camera and you're set it on video because it frames it a little different when it's photo and video. And then you look through it. You don't even have to push record and just look through it. And whatever you're seeing there, that when you push record, that's what it's going to be like. So you can
That's
even,
right.
you know, you can plan it just like that. Not even the day of,
No.
of your
Exactly.
production.
That's what we did.
Yeah. And did you happen to you used a tripod though, right?
Oh, I did. So I used, yes, a camera tripod because at this stage I didn't even know about gimbals and this, that, and the other. And there are actually equipment out there that you can hold an iPhone in to stabilize it. And I had no idea. So we had a camera tripod. And for the scenes where it was just stationary and we were just filming, someone talking at a desk,
Right.
we taped the iPhone to the camera tripod. So again, it was a big improvisation. So that's how we got the kind of stability that we needed. So yeah,
people don't see that end. People don't see that end. They say from that end. So
yeah. So again, it was very much. It was just improvise with what you have.
I just, I love what you're telling me because, there's so many different ways of filmmaking with a smartphone. And the main thing is that you have a good story, that obviously you have to be patient and have a great sense of humor. What are some examples of having to be patient that you had to, without planning it, obviously?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so in ours we were using technology for some of our. What I mean is we're actually using laptops in and things like that, and just things like batteries running out and batteries running out on the phone, and and having to have chargers nearby and be ready and things like that. So that's just from a technological standpoint. So that you do need to have patience that that things won't always work right when you need them to. It's also so I shot mine with with actors, which is a bunch of people. Lots of people make all different kinds of films and they don't have a traditional script and actors. Mm-hmm. So even when you're working with professional actors, they're like an unknown entity. You never know quite what they're going to say or how they're going to respond. They don't necessarily deliver the scene in the way you imagined, and so it's having to be patient with them and sort of explain to them what you want and your vision, and allowing them to take that on board. And also just it's something to be wary of. Everybody's got deadlines and other things to do and other things to go to. So I was very much aware of the fact that I only had so and so for 2 hours or things like that. So you got to be patient with that. And then on top of that, there's things that is completely out of your control, like the sun shifting. Oh, wait a second, my scene is not as well lit as it was before, continuity. Or a motorcycle just roared past side and now, outside. Now we've got that in the background. We've got to shoot that again. So, there's shadows in this scene that wasn't there before. So, yeah, I definitely advise when you're shooting, even if you're only shooting a short film in one day, always allow longer than you think it's going to take. Things inevitably come up, and there's just not a lot you can do about them. Yeah, so environmental things. Yeah, we'll call it that. Yeah. So,
yeah, and that's a fact in all films.
Absolutely.
The guy blowing using a skill saw across the street, or deciding to do the landscaping and use the leaf blower, and
people have walked by the house and they're laughing and talking really loudly. Like it's just, oh great, that scene was perfect. Sorry guys, got to do it again. Yeah,
you're like, excuse me, we're shooting a comedy here. Stop laughing.
Allowing for things to go wrong, or for the scene having to be done, obviously multiple times. Yeah, so that's sort of where you need patience.
Yeah, you definitely have to plan for the time, but you also have to plan just to be patient. And you mentioned something here. You come from the acting world, so you were directing this film.
Yes.
And this was it your first experience directing?
Definitely directing film. Years back, I directed theatre, which obviously is a very different medium to film. So yes, not only my first experience writing film, but directing film and directing actors in film. Yeah, definitely.
Was there a big difference between directing actors, on film as opposed to on a stage? Outside of the differences in stage left and stage right,
It's a lot more technical. It's all about framing and lighting and this, that, and the other. Whereas I think with with theatre acting, you've got a little bit more sort of leeway to, it's more about characterization, I guess. Obviously, characterization still comes into it in filmmaking, but it's all about, lining up the shot and the lighting and the sound and just a whole lot of other things that come into it. So yeah, and right down to, we found that, having the actors wearing sort of pale clothes, I realized that's just going to blend into the pale wall. So I was like, okay, wait a minute, we need to get you something more colorful, things like that I learned along with iPhone filmmaking. I did learn that, especially when you're shooting indoors, you need a lot of light. Or it starts to go grainy. So it was like learning, about all of those things that you definitely don't have in theatre. But in terms of the way you communicate with actors, like trying to communicate your vision to them and be respectful and, rather than demonstrate to them what to do, sort of like explaining, what you want to get out of that scene and then letting them take that on board. That's the same as theatre.
Yeah, because when you're working with them in theater, that's a whole different ballgame. You have to do the whole thing at once, perfect. And
Yes.
in acting for the camera, it's like they're just getting ready for that, they're getting emotional. Not that your film was, a drama or something, but it's that same concept. They're getting emotional. Okay, cut. Okay, can we get another angle now? And can you continue that? It's like,
And they've got just a couple of minutes to sort of recalibrate and get back into that emotional space. Yeah.
Which also brings me to the thing that if you do iPhone filmmaking, there's this personalization because your camera is closer to your subjects, and it's more of a personal thing that you can provoke in somebody with a smartphone. I'm not sure I'm able to say this properly, but you can evoke emotions in a different way, more personally than you can with a big camera. With professional actors, it's they can work around that, but actors that are not super experienced, and Academy Award winners or something, that's a little harder to pull off in front of a big camera than it is maybe with the phone, where you can almost tune it out, right?
I definitely think iPhone filmmaking is more intimate, yes, for the actors. I think that's sort of what we're sort of trying to get across. Yeah, it's smaller, it's closer, it's definitely less. iPhone filmmaking is less obtrusive. You don't have a lot of big, as you say, cameras or equipment or whatever. So I definitely think that's an advantage of the medium.
Yeah, and less people around fiddling with stuff while you're trying to do your big, your big moment, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Now, are you planning, because you're an actor, are you planning on being in front of the camera maybe because I give that advice to people all the time. If you can find someone else to direct or, direct and act at the same time, which is tough, but still.
It is, yeah. I do plan to, yeah. I did kind of initially say after this film that I would put myself in my next film so I could obviously not only promote my filmmaking but promote my acting. But then I've come up with an idea for my next film that requires somewhat of a different demographic than me in the role. So I've kind of in that sense sort of shot myself in the foot because the idea that I want to make it's really not best suited for me to be in that role. So, but I definitely will do it. Yeah, I think that's if you can, we all know how hard it is to get acting gigs and to promote ourselves as actors. So if we have this other where we can make films, it certainly makes sense to put ourselves in it. Yes, I think that's definitely something we should be doing.
Yeah, the other thing, you're so tight with the producer, I think you might just get the part if you audition.
That's it. Yeah. Much easier way of going about it.
Yeah, it's definitely an advantage, and it's one of the best things, if you're acting and doing all these auditions, and some people will take parts just to get, the experience. You know what
Absolutely,
I mean? That they don't even like.
Yep. Yeah, that's what you have to do. Like I did a lot of student, amateur, when I started out. So if it's, they're learning, you're learning, so you all learn together, and hopefully you get something, decent out of it, some of the footage that the both of you can use.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, it's like experience. Like when you're,
Mm.
working in the film industry, a lot of times you do a lot of free work for student films and independent films where you're willing to just volunteer
Yes.
and show that you can do it so that maybe next time you can get paid.
Hmm.
I have a couple of questions. I do want to share with our viewers that because you won third place and because your film was nominated and accepted uh, to the Global Mobile Film Awards,
Yes, very exciting.
yeah, that's going to happen in December of
Mm,
this year. So I want viewers to stay in touch with you and follow you because when the announcements come, I'm sure you'll share them on social media so they can
definitely.
yeah be a part of that and root you on. It was a lot of fun meeting you at the film festival
Oh,
and
it's a great experience for me.
yeah, and meeting and although I couldn't be with you guys the entire time, you don't know how bad I wanted to.
Of
I mean,
course.
I was every time I tried to pull away from, things that were going on, I was like, I want to go hang out with the filmmakers. And I didn't get to do that as much as I wanted to. Um, but I could see, I was almost jealous, Narelle. I mean, I could see the connection and the, you know, car, car, how do you say it? Camaraderie.
Between the filmmakers.
Yeah, you were
Yeah,
all
yeah,
supportive of each other, rooting for each other, joking with each other. I mean, it was almost like you guys were a family.
like a tribe. Yeah.
Yeah. And, especially you and Brian, that you had something
Yeah.
going on that I didn't realize until later on. We had a podcast that, for our listeners, we did a podcast at the end, after the award ceremony and everything. And then I became aware there was a little teasing between you guys. Why don't you talk a
Hmm.
little bit about that?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So obviously, I made my phone on an iPhone 7, and I'm very much an Apple girl. And Brian, who won first place and is also Australian and is a great guy, he's very, yeah, sort of Samsung, Android oriented, but to the point where he just like, totally, totally just, give a lot of crap to iPhone users. So yeah, we discovered that, which was pretty funny. Because obviously there was a lot of ribbing going on there because he was like, well, I won first place with this, and I was like, your second film, I got an award with my first film, and so forth and so on. And yeah, and obviously when we were all being serious about it and talking about it at the Roundtable podcast with all the other filmmakers, we all agreed that there were certain pros and cons that both you know uh, both types of phones had, and really the right type of phone to make a smartphone on is just the one that you've got. That's it. There's not both of them are of it. Both of them have different strengths and whatever. It's just
I
what
just
you're used.
I was laughing because you said, when you said and really the best type of phone that you can use. I just thought for some second if Brian was here you were going to say it's definitely an Apple.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, he would have gone, yeah, if you haven't got a Samsung, get a hold of one. Yeah, so that was a little rivalry we had. But yeah, honestly, before going into the International Mobile Film Festival, I didn't know any other smartphone filmmakers at all. Obviously, I knew that they were out there. I'd maybe come across them on social media or whatever, but that was sort of my first experience meeting them. And to have a couple of them come from Australia was great. So now we're all just connected, and we all really can follow each other and support them as they go on to other festivals and that. It's really encouraging. Like our films. When I say our, I mean three of the Australian attending filmmakers at your film festival.
Yeah.
Myself, Ryan, and Jason. We all got on into the Toronto Smartphone Film Festival, and I couldn't go over there, and I think Jason was at Zurich or something. So, but Brian went, and so I was able to to message him and go, "How's it going? What's it like? Tell me about it." And was very lucky in that respect because he was able to, take photos there and share
I
them with me.
saw that. That was
Still
awesome.
up on the big screen in a cinema in Toronto. That's something I would never have had access to if I hadn't met him. So that was certainly in that respect, from a networking point of view, was very valuable.
Yeah, I've always been aware, and I've had people way back. I think it was like way back. It just feels like everything is time flies, right? So it just feels
Yeah,
like it's
sure.
so long ago in a way. But I think it was like 2014, 2015, where people were saying, Susie, you're not me per se, but this is building such a community,
Mm.
around the world,
Yeah.
from the people. And for me, I'm quite social in the way that I like to stay in touch with people and go back to people that I've met in the past. I'll even, like, remember we were talking to Prakash.
Gandhi.
Yep,
Yeah.
Gandhi.
Yeah.
And he had said, his sense of humor is awesome too. And he was saying, he was joking around about, well, just wait till next year, I'm going to win, and and all that as well. But the thing is, he has been in our film festival. I think almost every single film festival he submitted a film.
Yeah,
Um,
that's amazing.
yeah,
Part of your
and
film festival family.
yeah, and he was here in 2015 as well in San Diego. So it was really, really awesome for me. I almost felt like, oh, mom, I'm the
Yeah,
mom.
film festival. Well, it's a real testament to the festival that you've created that he keeps coming back. I mean, he's not from San Diego, I don't think, is he?
No, he's from Austin in Texas.
There you go. So he keeps flying interstate every year to attend your film festival. So that's a good testament to that. So yeah, definitely. It is
Yeah,
like an online, and sometimes in person community out there, which is also beneficial from a filmmaking point of view because you can get tips and advice. And, for me, as I said, I'm only learning just now about all the equipment and things out there and apps and specifically for smartphone filmmaking. And some of that I've learned from the other filmmakers I've so yeah, it's good from a social standpoint to have them in your life, and it's also good from a sort of business and technical standpoint.
yeah, and to see them now, just to clear up, Prakash was here in 2015. He submitted to the other film festivals after that, and then he came back this year. So he
Yeah,
wasn't flying back here every single year, but he does plan on coming again this next year. And
came back.
yeah, and I think that what is happening too is that this is growing, right?
Mm.
So there
Mm-hmm.
are people who are, believe it or not, this is still I don't mean this is a small thing as in but what I'm saying is in the world of the industry in general, this is still an infant, right?
Oh, very much. We're still fledgling, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
So we have our own in the community. There are thousands of people now making films with their phones, but there are some that stick out like a sore thumb, right?
Yes.
But I think the reason for that is not because of necessarily their films, because oh, your film is better than mine or anything like that. And what I think it's because the the connection that you make when you meet each other at a film festival carries on on
Yeah.
social media, and so you become sort of social media personas, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And that's all to a testament for our listeners that when you're going to submit your films, which is going to be coming up here very soon, that couple of days now. What
Wow, at that time already.
I
That's incredible.
know. Well, yeah, but I do open them. At first I would open the call for films. I would open them up, just a couple of months before, or a few weeks before.
Oh, is
The
that what you did in the past?
Yeah, and then I
Yeah.
decided, you know what? Because I would, you're not gonna believe this. I had at least 9 people email me, and ask me, when are you open? How can I
Are you
submit my
opened
film?
yet? Are you opened? Yeah,
And
right. When are you
literally
opening? Yeah.
literally the next day, that
Yeah.
Monday, I got the first email from somebody
The
asking.
Monday after the film
Uh-huh.
festival.
Yeah.
The Monday after. Wow.
I
Wow,
still
there you
had
go.
I still had gear in my living room and stuff, and I was like, hold on, guys,
Yeah.
and
I need a break.
yeah, well, and it's, well, yeah, what's that? A break?
Yeah, I was going to say, you wouldn't know that. Yeah, no.
But it's
Yeah,
not even just that. It's like it takes some preparing,
of course. Yeah.
and I have to, it's not just like, oh, I just press a button and poof, everything just comes up on, Film Freeway is loaded and everything's ready
It's
to
all ready to
go.
go. Yeah.
Yeah, it does take some work with all the other stuff that I do.
Extra sorted. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's going to open up here in a couple days on the 19th of June. And when we do that and you submit a film, keep it in mind that you'll probably want to come,
Yeah. Yeah.
start a
So start
Kickstarter
preparing for it.
campaign so
Know
that
when
you
it is.
can,
Yeah. Is it always that last weekend in April that you do it, Susie?
yeah, every
So,
single
okay, well,
time.
there you go. It's the same time every year, fellas. So everyone out there. No,
Yeah,
cool. No,
that's one of the things that I'm trying to
I,
be consistent in, that because that way it makes it easier for if I open the calls on June 19th every year now. I think this
mhm.
is the third time I'm doing that, and close them at the same time, and then we have the film festival at the same time. It creates kind of like, I don't know, a show on TV that's been going on for years. It's like, what day of the week is that show? Everybody knows it's on Tuesday night, say,
Mhm. Yeah.
and on what channel.
Yep.
It's like, it's
Yep.
kind of the same thing. It's like, I don't want people to always have to come to the website and see, when is it this year? You know?
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to make it a little easier for people, like shooting a movie on their phone, make it easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Simplify. That's what we do, is simplifying.
Yes, yes. So, let me see. I'm trying to remember some of the things I do actually, because we stay in touch in social media as well. Do you have a Twitter or a Facebook that people can follow you?
I don't. I should do that. Yeah, I might just open like a Facebook public page for me or something. I don't know. It's hard for me to get my head around the idea that someone would want to follow me and what I'm doing, which is why I think I haven't done anything yet. But if I do, I will certainly let you know, and you can share that with your listeners or whoever you like.
But you do have an IMDb that people can visit, though, right? Because
I
you can.
definitely do. I am
That's
on
not.
IMDb.
Yeah,
All
that's
my
not.
work is on that.
Yeah, that's not something we can just go, oh, just go here on IMDb. That's like a serial number for that URL. So we'll have to add that link.
Or, yeah.
But there is something else that I've noticed on your social media I wanted you to talk about. I think it's really interesting. You just launched something new, didn't you?
Yes. So I've launched my first small business with
Congratulations.
three of my colleagues and friends, and actually two of them were in were in the film that I made. So we're all very closely entwined. So yeah, it's called Role Play for Solutions. So our most recent background, what we sort of do for our day-to-day work is role play. So it's used as a tool in recruitment, training, things like that. So it can be, if somebody needs to, go for a job, and part of that job is they have to attend an assessment center, which might be like a written and a group activity and an interview. Another thing they may have to go through is a role play. So we come in as an actor and we have a brief and we pretend to be whatever the position requires. If it's a job with, say the trains, we might come in as a lost customer or an aggressive customer or, something like that. And then the candidate going for the job is assessed by an occupational psychologist on their, their communication, their conflict resolution skills, that sort of thing. So yeah, role plays are becoming more widely used, and not just in the sector. I role play with first year med students, to help teach them how to empathically deal with patients. They've all got to do things like deliver bad news or explain technical medical procedures. I've done role plays with financial companies, financial advisors pretending to, come in and, I'm, preparing for retirement, stuff like that. So it's used in a lot of different areas. So we've got our own company now. And, so we're hoping to just be able to, get our build up our client list. And what I like about it is because it combines and performance, and I have a background in both. So I'm an actor, and I also have a degree in psychology. So I'm finally in my mid using both. so yeah, it's exciting. It's at the moment, obviously, it's just a lot of work to try and get the word out there and attract the right people to the company. But yes, Role Play for Solutions. Thanks, Susie.
That's pretty awesome because you're using your acting skills and your creative and imagination to help people with their jobs, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about improving workplace experience. With sort of the research shows that things like job interviews and resumes can be, not necessarily reliable on their own as an indicator of how that person will perform in that job. But if you put them in a role play and it gives them a chance to show how they will perform in that job, that's found to be quite a good and strong indicator. And also for people who are already in jobs, it's just a safe way of honing a skill or learning a new skill in a learning environment. Like if they mess up with us, we're actors, doesn't. So so it's it can be very valuable in a number of ways.
Yeah, I used to get offered jobs in sales a lot. And one of the things that I remember really a lot is that I think it was like once a week, we would, early in the morning, we would have these role play things, as the salesperson, pitching, some random stranger.
Yep.
And of course, I always had to turn them into an improvisational comedy.
Of course you do. Well, if you're going to do something like that, if you have to do something like that, you may as well enjoy it, I say.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I actually was using that on the street, basically, when I was selling, where I used comedy to make people feel comfortable. And that actually did end up earning me a lot of sales that way.
There you go. There we go. Very good. Well done.
It's actually the best way to approach people that you don't know is to, as long as you're not vulgar, but if you're willing to use a good sense of humor, with things, most people are pretty open to it. And then they feel humor is a great thing, like I said, with your film, the comedy in your film, it reflects a lot on you as a person, and made everybody, you were one of the stars of the film festival.
They assumed I was likable because I made a funny film. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So,
yeah.
So and you. And they were right. You are very likable. You had a great presence and everything. And on the red carpet when we were looking at through the photos, there was a few there with Prakash actually, because he was making fun of like the she won and I didn't win.
That was his like, let's take a photo where I look like I'm jealous of the trophy. I went, all right, what you want? And actually to be a really good photo. I was surprised. Yeah. Very,
he also acts now.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah. So he's, that's one of the things, just catching up with him here and there that, I was like, oh, I thought all you did was just shoot stuff because he's really into the gear,
Yes, he's very much about it. He's like, I want to use it. What do they call those things that fly in the air? I can't think of the words. You know what I mean? Yes, the drones. Yes, yeah. He wants to use drones and he wants to use this, that, and the other. Yeah.
Yeah, he came to our 2015 film festival with a gimbal, and he was running around with it, just showing people, oh, look how smooth it comes out, even though I'm just like on my feet, literally running, shooting stuff. But there, again, you have to. You gotta, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense to spend, thousands of dollars on gear to use your phone to shoot a film because, it just, even though I do see the thing that, well, like if you walk into a room and you ask people, how many people here have a camera? Nobody raises their hands and you have to remind them, yes, you all have a camera right now.
And it's a pretty good one too. So yeah.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah. And it's not necessary to spend thousands of dollars to make a good film on your on your smartphone. I mean, I've shown that. So
Yeah. Well, you just need to be creative. You need a imagination and you need a good story. And then you have to think on your feet and be patient, right?
That's it. All of those things will take you a lot further than, necessarily having $100 worth of equipment. Yeah.
So do you mind if we play a little game real quick?
Sure.
Okay. Oh, you do mind? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I don't mind. As in, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. I'd like for you to. I know that. Well, before we do that, I do want to give you an opportunity. But I thought, do you read books or do you watch movies?
I definitely watch more movies than I read books.
Yeah, that's the going thing. I think I've been reading lately about how many of us actually. It's because you know what? We spend so much time reading online now.
Yeah,
you don't leave the laptop and the computer and the social media after reading books and then clicking on links, reading articles and then go, oh, I think I'll pick up a book now. It's a hard thing to do. So how about that you name in 20 seconds your favorite films from all time? Like you're 100 years old or something, but you just your favorite films, or maybe because your film was a comedy, we can make this really hard and just say all the comedies.
Oh, thanks, Susie.
Well, we don't have to. It's up to you.
Okay, of all time. Wow. All right. I'll give it a shot. Tell me when we start.
So ready, set, and go.
Okay, I'm going to go Ghostbusters, Ocean's 8 with all the girls that I just saw at the moment. I really liked Drop Dead Fred as a kid. That was funny. Comedy. This is so hard. How about comedy drama? A Few Good Men was legal.
I'll bet you're glad that's over.
You got
yeah, what was that one? Drop Dead Fred?
Fred, yeah, with Rick Mayall. I feel I couldn't breathe the first time I saw that as a teenager.
There's so many movies. I do these games with people and I'm going, God, I would be horrible at this. I don't know why I put people through this. Because for me, it's really hard for me to think of even songs. As soon as somebody says, what are your favorite songs? Or name so many songs.
I'm the same. Yeah, and then suddenly none come to mind. I'm sure there's plenty, but I can't think of them at this moment.
Way to wipe out the canvas and all of a sudden it's a blank, right?
Yes, yeah.
Why don't you name the actors though in your film? They were all awesome.
Yeah, love to do that. Yeah, okay. So I'll name all my cast and crew because my crew is basically me and one other person. So I'll just name all of us. So yeah, shout out and thanks to Celia Kelly, Deborah Jones, Nathaniel Skocek, Kaylee Higgins, Mark Grant, David Coomans. Yeah, all those people helped put that together in many different ways. They were all cast and all crew, really. My dad, Bruce, very helpful for me with the editing because I also edited this film on my own, which I'm also self-taught at. So he was helping me out with that too. Yeah, thank you. And then very much to the International Mobile Film Festival. My first and only award I've ever won was with you guys. That was a great thrill being there for that in San Diego. Susie took care of us all very well. All the filmmakers were, asked to contribute and, asked to give their point of view and treated like we're all VIPs. So everybody get your smartphones together, make a film, submit, do it. It's worth it. What are you waiting for? You have nothing to lose. Go for it.
Wow. That's a lot. But first of all, wait, your dad helped you edit? How did your dad help you edit?
Well, I was having trouble with the lining up the footage and the music because I was actually using two different programs for that. So that was tricky. So in the way that he helped me edit was basically just like getting the exact point, like, he's good with numbers and figures and trying to work out what, point, 3.67 this is happening at and just lining it up. That's what he helped me with. I was like really struggling with that, not actually being able to see the footage whilst I was editing the music.
Oh.
But yeah, the other editing I did myself, but he was more helpful with me, getting it to the exact point, exactly where I wanted it to fade out now. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
You
Dad
know,
was.
today is Father's Day here in the
It
U.S.
is in
Yeah.
America. Yeah.
Yeah. So happy Father's Day to your dad.
Thank you. I'll let him know.
And tell him I said thank you for helping you with the timing on the music and everything too.
I will. I will. I'll pass that on. Yeah. Not that he doesn't have any background in that either. He's just a mad scientist who has a head for those kind of things. So that's
Wow.
why I knew he'd be helpful. He's very, very, technical oriented.
Mathematical. I'm horrible. That's like my worst.
Yeah. He was a pilot. So yeah. No, I didn't get any of that. I wished I got. If I had my creativity and sort of right brain or left brain or whatever it is, I'd be unstoppable.
Yeah, but it's hard to find people who are smack in the middle of that, like, oh, I'm really good at this and that,
have one or the other. So,
yeah, although I will tell you technically, because you were editing also, this is one industry, film, which does combine the art with the science,
It does. It really does. That's very true. Yeah.
And you're a psychologist basically, right? So the mind tricks that you have to learn, that's also a science.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I didn't realize that when I signed up for it. Yeah, psychology is actually a behavioral science. I thought it was about how people act and their emotions and all of that and what makes them behave the way they do. But there were a lot of, it's all about, conducting experiments and statistics. So yes, psychology is very much a science also.
Yeah, because when you're editing a film and you do a specific, like a transition, for example, you're looking at the different transitions that you can use. And, for example,
Yes.
that if you put a white fade out and fade in, and let it hang just one extra second, people, when they come back, from that, as they're watching a film, they imagine that they're either in another dimension, they just slipped into a dream, and it's
or a different time period.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or they died and they're in heaven. It's just so subtle. And
changes the whole scene, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm really interested in your future as a filmmaker as well as, an actor. It's definitely you've got a lot of potential. And I mean, at the same time it's like, well, so where do you go from here, Narelle? You're like nominated for GMFA and you won third prize and like, gosh,
Not gonna lie, that's I suffice to say I never expected my first film to do this well, but the way I've sort of decided to deal with that is I'm going to make something very different for my second film, so much so that people can't possibly compare it to the first film, even if they tried. So that's my goal.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, I don't want to keep you too long. You've got, the rest of your day ahead of you.
Sure.
Yeah. But is there anything else that you want to shoot out to people, our listeners?
Just to pick up their phone and try, honestly, whatever's holding you back. When it comes to smartphone filmmaking, I promise it doesn't matter. You have nothing to lose. Even if you make something and you don't like it or it doesn't work out, then make something. Really, how much time or money have you actually invested into making a smartphone making a short film on a smartphone? Not a lot, not compared to like big budget films or television or anything like that. So yeah, just start filming, and if you need crew or you need actors, put the call out there, and the right people will come to you. They will come to you because people want to participate in things like that, and they want the experience. So yeah, just that idea, that issue, whatever it is that's burning inside of you that you want to say, that story you want to tell, write it down, and then make the film. Good luck.
Awesome. Thank you. You're very inspirational, by the way. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Susie.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Thanks for listening. Bye.